Hi everyone, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. So today I'm on with a project and a topic that is close to my heart. You probably all know by now that it's Autism Awareness Month, and a lot of you would know that I myself am autistic. Also, both of my children are autistic as well. So we have a very interesting household here. So I saw the lovely Jovi from Creating with Jovi do a video in response to a lady called Kathy's Favourite Things on YouTube. Now, she has a young son who's been diagnosed with autism and she wanted to raise awareness. So she's doing a challenge at the moment with a little gift prize that someone will win. And it is to raise awareness about autism by sharing her video or doing a video response talking about autism, or to make something using puzzle pieces. So I thought I might make a simple little project and just talk a little bit. You know, I don't want to make it a drag for you guys. And, you know, I'm not an expert, so... But, you know, I can tell you a little bit about my experience with autism anyway, because we definitely need to have more understanding about autism. I think that would help people a lot. So I'll get on with this. What I thought I might do is make a tag. So I've got these bits of packaging here that I'm going to use. So I just want to cut out a rectangle shape for the tag firstly. I will grab a cutter. So yes, I was diagnosed with autism at the age of 42, so quite late in life. So it was quite difficult growing up, having all these issues, you know, and emotional issues and that, and not knowing why I was different and didn't fit in. So it was actually a great relief to me when I finally got the diagnosis. And how I got the diagnosis was my son was, once he hit high school, he had big troubles. You know, he did really well through primary school, although there were signs that something was a little different. But once he hit high school, things got really, really hard for him, and we just couldn't get the help and support that we needed. So we did find a psychologist that, you know, talked to him for a little bit and thought quite strongly that there was a possibility he had autism. So we went down to Autism SA, because we're in South Australia, and we got the formal diagnosis. After his diagnosis, I did a lot of research on autism so that I could support him better, and didn't really think too much of it regarding myself until I read about women with autism, you know, because, you know, in the past we've sort of thought of it as something that's mainly happens to men, you know, but you know, women are so underdiagnosed. And when I read up about women's experiences with autism, I just knew straight away. So I then went down and had a got myself diagnosed as well. So, and then it's only been this last year that my daughter had her diagnosis. So it's still quite new for us in this household. So that's my tag so far. Just trying to figure out which side I want to do what with. That side will be good for writing on, so I might cover this side. So now what I want to do is see, I'm not sure if this is going to punch through this cardboard, but we'll give it a go. Oh, I hate having these things on there, so I take them off. So it's just a little puzzle piece. You're meant to use puzzle pieces, but I hope this will suffice. So I'm just going to punch a whole heap of these. Oh, I don't know, it's going to be tough. Oh, there we go, there's one. I'll probably kill my punch doing this. So yes, I think for me the hardest thing with having autism is well, there's sort of two things. I think the hardest thing is the anxiety. The anxiety is unreal, and it's constant. And most of it surrounds social situations of any form. So, and then the second hardest thing is people's lack of understanding, definitely. So I can see why we need more awareness. I think I tend to be quite open about my autism when I meet people, and I think I want to, if I'm meeting someone for a job or they want me to help them with something, or I think they'll be a good friend in the future, I tend to be straight, forthright with them and say I have autism. And I do that because I know that I have behaviours at times which people might find odd, and have in the past when I didn't know. I've been teased about things and that, and I haven't known why. So it's good now I know why. But I feel that if I'm upfront with people, then that might help them understand that I, might act a little different in certain circumstances, or not be able to do something they want me to do. Or if I have a meltdown or something, they might understand. So I tell people, but the number one response that I get from 90% of people that I tell I'm autistic is everyone has a bit of that. Now, that is such a fallacy. We are the same species, so we have similarities, but no, everyone does not have a bit of autism. I'm just putting that out there. And, autism is a lifelong neurological disorder. It's, similar to schizophrenia. Now, I don't know, people go up to people, if someone says they've got schizophrenia, do people say, oh, everyone's got a bit of that, If you've got depression or something, and you go and say to someone, I'm a bit depressed, if they said back to you, oh, everyone's a bit depressed, would that be helpful? So it'd be nice for people to think about their response. I think that would help people on the spectrum a lot. And I don't think that autism is, it has its deficits, like for me, as I said, the anxiety and that, but it also has some really cool aspects, which I find quite amusing. So now what I want to do is stick these puzzle pieces onto the tag like such. So we'll start doing that. So as I said, I'm not an expert about any of this, but I can only talk for myself. But I do know, by living with it all my life and seeing my children grow up with it and what they've had to go through, I know how difficult and how sad it can be. It can be really, really sad watching people struggle just because of the lack of understanding and the lack of support, especially when you get diagnosed at mature, such a mature age. There aren't the supports out there like there are when you're younger, and that's why it's just so important, if you think someone is showing some of the signs, to go and get assessed. Because the sooner you get supports in place, the better chance there is that people with autism, can grow up and function in society as society expects of them. And I think that's another one of the really hard things is keeping up with society's expectations can be really, really difficult. Getting glue bomb everywhere. I should probably use different sort of glue, but I know this sticks and I'm going to paint over it anyway, so it won't matter too much. So I sort of look at it as there are some deficits, but I also call it a superpower. I think every individual has something special in them, and that's especially true for people with children, especially with autism. So the colour for autism is blue. So I'll definitely be adding some blue to this. And I know on a lot of the logos and symbols that they have the puzzle pieces with red, yellow and blue. So yes, it's interesting living in my house at the moment because the three of us all have quite different quirks and likes and dislikes and, you know, the sensitivities and things like that. So I must say that cooking all this time for two kids with autism and that has been quite interesting because there's the, you know, what foods they like and don't like thing. And yeah, my son doesn't like mushy stuff much. He'll eat soup and stuff, but other than that, he doesn't like mushy vegetables. And he doesn't eat much meat. I used to call him Potato Man because he'd eat potato. Right, I think we need maybe 2 more of our little puzzle pieces. So I hope you guys are having a good weekend. It's Easter weekend here still. And yes, so far I've been having chocolate each day, which is terrible. But because it's Easter already, they're getting all the eggs out on sale now, trying to clear them at the shop. So I got a Daryl Lee licorice Easter egg this morning for like $2. It's a bit hard to avoid at that price. Oh, I'm having a glue bomb. It's quite hot here, so my glue's reacting to that. 33 here today, which is unusual for autumn. I think it's 10 degrees higher than the usual average. I think that'll do. So the next thing I want to do is I have my gesso and I have a little tray that I'll mix in. I've got a paintbrush and I found this beautiful blue satin acrylic semi-matte. Hopefully I'll be able to go, I should be able to go over that all right with other paint because I'm going to mix this in with my gesso to put a base coat onto our tag. So I'll just grab something to mix it together with. I'm just going to wipe this off onto a book page as usual, get some colour on the book page. That will do. Clean that off. So I'm just going to go over the top of this. I'm just dabbing it to try and get it in around all the puzzle piece bits. It's a lovely colour. Got way too much, so I think I'll be painting a few book pages afterwards. It always surprises me how far the gesso goes. I think that'll do though. I thought I might need another coat, but I reckon that'll do. So what I'll do is leave that to the side to dry. I think I've covered most of the area, so. And I will grab some book page and paint away for some tag bases. So yes, there's a sort of saying or a quote that I have read about high functioning and low functioning when it comes to autism, and I find this one really helpful. And it's, you know, when there's a diagnosis of high functioning, no one seems to see your deficits. And when there's a diagnosis of low functioning, no one seems to acknowledge your abilities. And I find that really, really true. As you know, my children and I would be considered high functioning or whatever because we can communicate verbally quite well and do so many things. You know, a lot of people wouldn't even believe us if we said we had autism, yet we still have all the deficits that go along with that you have to be diagnosed as being autistic. And then you see people who might be non-verbal and more on the, you know, what they call lower functioning, but they're so capable of so much. And no one notices that or acknowledges it, which is really, really sad. So I think everyone, like they say it's a spectrum, and, you know, these days they just say you're on the spectrum or whatever because we're all so different. That's a beautiful colour, isn't it? So I'm just painting these, just painting over the text. I'll let that dry, and then I'll be able to use it to back tags or even just decorate the page for a journal page. I'm doing a bit of a blue theme to something coming up, so I might even be able to use some of these pages in that as backgrounds. Do some collaging. So I hope I haven't bored you too much with my blabber about autism, but it, you know, as I said, when you've got a family like mine and you see how hard it is, and it's made really hard by the way people react and the lack of support. I think people with autism would be capable of so much more if they just had that understanding and support to be able to focus on what they're good at and what they're able to do, rather than expecting them to be like everyone else. All right, so we've cleaned up all of our paint now. That's going to need a little bit more time to dry, so I'm going to wash my paintbrush, let that dry, and then we'll come back and get on with the next bit. So I've got all these beautiful pages now that I can use. That's how much gesso and paint I would have wasted if I didn't do this with it. And I think this is dry enough now for me to go over my little puzzle pieces. Not the best paint job, but that's fine for me. So I've grabbed some of my acrylic paints. So I think I said before the colours were red, blue and yellow. Well, I went and had another look, and apparently it's green as well. I'm hoping there's a little bit in here. If not, I'll have to hunt another one up. I had a bit of trouble finding enough of the colours. So, because I've just got random paints all over the place here. So I think I will start with the yellow. Might need a couple of coats. We'll see how we go. And I've got some of my finer tipped paintbrushes here. So it's heartening seeing the response to Kathy's call for people to enter her challenge and hear people's stories. And I must say that it took me a fair while after my diagnosis and my son's diagnosis to realise what the best way of dealing with our autism in the house was. But I have found the best way to deal with it is to have a good laugh. We just have the best laugh about it and tease each other in a nice way about stimming and all our little quirks and that. We just understand each other heaps better and can support each other. And, you know, we tend to have so much anxiety about things that it's really nice to come home and just have a good laugh about stuff. All right, so that's pretty good. Now I might see if we can get some green out. Not very hopeful though. Oh. Probably better if it was brighter. It seems quite runny too, so we'll see how we go with it. That'll do for the green. Now I've got a whole lot of paint there, so I'm going to have to paint some more pages again afterwards. But we'll get our tag finished first, so it's got a bit of time to dry. I might use this blue. Alright, so I'm going to now let that dry and paint some more book pages. So my little messy tag is just dry enough for me to do something with now. So I've grabbed this blue eyelet and I've got my crocodile, so we'll put a little hole in there. I'll set our eyelet. And then I found just some fabrics. They're different blues. So I thought they would be a good thing to use since blue is the colour for autism. So I'm just going to put them together and see if I can thread them through the eyelet. That worked. Now tying them is going to be the hard part, I think. So I could staple them together even. I'll see if I can tie a knot. They're not really long enough. We will see. Oh, that'll look all right. So that is my tag for Autism Awareness Day. So thanks so much to Jovi firstly for alerting me to Kathy's video. And thank you to Kathy for wanting to raise awareness for autism. And it's just great seeing everyone participate in this one. So the closing day for the challenge is the 5th of April. So there's still a bit of time if you see this to either just do a little talk, and if you watch Kathy's video, which I'll link below, there are some hashtags and that you can use so that she sees your video, or you can send her a picture, I think, if you don't do videos of something that you've made, or just share her video. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a really good weekend and I will see you again soon. Bye.